You know what? It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. You know, when I won office in 2014, and I was told that I was the first African American woman to hold this state level position, I decided then that one of my goals is going to be to make sure that there are going to be other women that's going to be coming in behind me. I was not only going to open that door, but I was going to try to kick down that door and make sure that there were going to be other women who are at the table discussing policies and bringing their point of views.
Without the city, my dad wouldn't be able to get his dream job. Without the city, my mom wouldn't have been able to get employment after she was incarcerated. So I've seen, what cities can do when you've actually invested in people. And I think when you help with the basic needs, food, water, shelter, safety, then people can really focus on what makes them successful and makes their family successful.
I had never thought of doing anything like this, but Miss Natalie here came up to me about 2 years ago and she approached me and said, have you ever thought about running for something? And I kind of laughed in her face literally and said, oh, you're so cute, okay, goodbye. And kept walking, and I was standing next to a friend and she said, but why not? And that was just the little pebble, the little seed. And then she came up to me again in December of 2018 and said, hey, we've got a seat in Bluffdale for city council, and would you consider it? And that's when I thought, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something, a greater calling. I've always wanted to be a lawyer, an educational lawyer. So I thought, why not this avenue for a while and see what happens?
My background is in government and politics. Also, I was raised in a public service family. My dad was a police officer, 30 years retired. And so I was raised in a home where I was taught to give back, to listen to people, to care for people, to be compassionate for people. And so I am running basically because I love people, and loving people ties into my background of government and politics. And I have found that it's the best way for me to serve people through government and politics.
I think I bring life experience as well as my own independent professional experience, but also a lens of diversity. I think Utah is growing and diversity is really important with that representation. I can speak about experience not just because I've read about it, but because I've also lived it.
We're finding more and more that educators are starting to join the political scene. We're seeing that we need a change for our students and for our children and families. And I think among the diverse viewpoint that I will bring to the city as we're growing and changing, I think also making sure that we involve our youth so that then when they come up, they'll have a sense of the fact that their voice does matter and that they belong in the community that they're living in and that they are a part of what's growing and changing.
I'm a former federal background investigator. I used to do background checks for people who needed military clearances. And also I have served in the Salt Lake City Mayor's office and also in other government offices before I moved here to Utah. So I think I bring a mixture of things as far as government and politics is concerned. Those include me just being humble, first of all. In order to be a public servant, you have to be able to listen to people and not to feel like you're above them. And so that's what I bring. I bring a listening ear and a person who wants to represent everyone.
I really want to stand up and speak up for the folks of South Salt Lake. I think it's time that they have someone that's not afraid to fight for what's right for them and what they want. And if anyone knows anything about me, that's how I'm all about. And I'm excited to be a representative for everyone in the community.
Bluffdale, I am really excited about it. It's a growing city. You said the name before and people would say, where is that? How far away is that? And now, because it's literally at the gateway of so many different cities, next to Lehigh, next to Riverton, it's a growing community. And I think at this point, because we are growing so fast and so quickly, I can help navigate the landscape and make sure that we pace ourselves on how we map out what the city looks like.
I think that I can bring people to the table who are not already at the table. Community engagement is very important to me. And so I feel like being a representative on the city council, you have to be able to listen to all kind of different perspectives, whether you agree with them or not. And I feel like I can bring those different perspectives to the table in a way that conveys the community's concerns, but also bring some solutions and some options that might not have necessarily been represented before.
Representative Hollins is amazing help, right? I think it's all about empowering women and empowering other people. I'm in this because someone tapped me on the shoulder. I've tapped the women here on the shoulder. You know, we've all been here for each other. It's a sisterhood, and it sounds cliche, but it's so realistic. I know that we're going to be here for each other because if we all succeed, like that's going to be better for our community. So I thank Representative Hollins for being a text message away from any questions that we have. She's done this. She's been in our shoes, and that's so big for anyone. So.
She's been my sister friend and my big sister, and she's also my children's godmother. So she's family. And so watching her as she was going through her journey to become representative, she kind of set an example of grace and humility as she ran the race. And I also saw, okay, this is something that's possible for, you know, many women out there to have a voice for their community. She's been empowering and just so encouraging, and the fact that she's there to mentor us along is very humbling and also refreshing, that we can just pick up the phone and say, I have a question, and just know that she'll be so patient to answer it. So love her for that.
Representative Hollins is my sorority sister. She has been here for me since day one. When I moved to Salt Lake City, initially I moved to Salt Lake City, and I kind of felt like an outcast because I didn't know anyone. It was just me and my husband, and at the time we only had one daughter. And Representative Hollins reached out to me to make sure that I had a good landing place. She ensured that I knew what was available to me as far as resources were involved. And so I always say we stand on the shoulders of someone else, and we don't do this alone. And so I stand on the shoulders of Representative Hollins, and I am honored to have her as a mentor and someone who I can follow in her footsteps to make sure that I'm helping to pave the way for the next person who will stand on my shoulders.
When the little girls are watching this, when their kids are watching this, your kids, what do you want them to know?
Know that they can do anything, but also know that they are leaders. They are leaders in our community, and that they can take their leadership skills to this level and be state representatives and city representatives and congressional representatives, to know that that is possible for them.